Hey, y'all. How is everybody today? Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Mission for Mental Health. I'm so glad that you all are here joining me this evening. I missed y'all. I think I missed y'all last week. I know you guys were like, what in the world? Now, wait a minute. Hold up. I know it's Wednesday and I don't see my girl on here live or nothing. Like what in the world is happening? Well, sometimes on Wednesdays I get a little busy and I might try to air something on Thursday, but I'm doing my best, y'all. So just bear with me, you know what I'm saying? October is a really busy month. So you guys saw that I have my flyer up about the coat drive. So I'm still looking for your gently used and new coats to donate to our homeless community in South DeKalb County. I'm collecting coats for the entire month of October. And I want to distribute them in November. So if you guys have anything, I put my flyer up there. And if you follow me on social media, you'll see it come up. Call me, and I don't have a specific drop-off location or anything like that, but just call your girl. Just call your girl. I keep gas in the car, so look at me bragging. I'm sorry, y'all. Everybody don't have the same privileges we had with them take-home cars. God has really blessed us with those, but baby, it's always gas in the car. So call me, let me know. I'll swing by and pick it up. So, hey, I'm excited, y'all. I got a great guest on for you guys. I mean, she reached out to me by way of a good way back in the day Cali girlfriend of mine who's here with me. One of my ride or dies. Me and that girl used to ride or die like for real. I already told my story once. I ain't gonna tell y'all again, so I won't tell too much. But yeah, so I got a young lady on here today. I think you guys are gonna love her story. She has a great story. She even gave me a bio, y'all. So I'm gonna read a little bit about her, and then I'm gonna bring her on. I want you guys to welcome her, give her some claps in the chat, make her feel comfortable. Look, I told her if you need a little sip of wine or something like that, you can do all that here on this show. We do all that up on here. So, her name is Domonick. I'm gonna have her pronounce it for me the way she wants me to say it. I just been calling her Dom. I don't know why I gave her a nickname, but I just gave her one because I just felt like giving her one. But anyway, she is great. So let me read what she said about herself. So Domonick Wheeler is no stranger to mental health. Having over 10 years of experience as a care provider for her brother, she understands the time and the energy and the financial contributions people sacrifice to assist people diagnosed with mental illness. Y'all, it's a whole lot of sacrifice when you're caring for people with mental illness. I promise you. She hopes sharing her story can provide some encouragement to those individuals as well as herself. So today she is looking for encouragement. I want you all to encourage her. And her story, I know can help someone else. So that's why I brought her on here. So hold on for 1 second. Let me peek behind the scenes. See, she ready. She ready. I can see her. Y'all can't see her. I can see her. She's smiling and everything. Got her face beat, baby. Y'all ready? Bam, there she goes. What's up, girl?
Hi, Jackie. How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Good. Welcome to Mission for Mental Health. I'm so glad that you decided to come on the show this evening. I'm excited. I read your bio, but let me ask you this. How do you want me to pronounce your name? Because I gave you a nickname and you don't know it, but even in my phone, I got it saved as Dom. Like I just felt like after the conversation that we had on the phone, I was like, man, her name is Dom. So how do you pronounce it? How would you like for us to pronounce it?
It is pronounced Dominique.
Domonick. Okay, just
Yeah.
wanted to be sure. So you know how we get it's uh Dominique, Dominique, Dominic. You know how we do. You know
Yeah.
how we do. So,
I
but
even get Dom. I even get Dom on Nike sometimes. So
see what I'm saying.
I
See what
just
I'm
roll
saying.
with Nike.
See what I'm saying. So I just wanted to make sure that I had everything on here politically correct. Okay. So how was your day?
It's been good. A little nerve-wracking because I was a little nervous about tonight, but
Yeah, girl, this
yeah,
thing is fun. Like when you're done, you go be like, "Oh, I want me one," because these things are so fun. Like I really, really, really enjoy doing this. I love talking to people. I feel healing is in the conversation. I say it all the time. Healing
yes,
is in the conversations, and I think that when people come on and share their stories, they're offering healing to other people because this thing that we're dealing with is like, whew, girl,
yeah,
it's so heavy, so
yeah,
heavy. So let
yeah.
me ask you this. So what made you want to reach out to me?
Um, well, I was referred to you by a close friend of mine because of a recent situation with my brother, who
Mm-hmm.
I have been a caretaker for quite some time. And I was struggling with guilt
Mm,
after um, an unfortunate situation with him
right,
weeks ago.
right.
And with that guilt, she suggested that it would be good for me to talk about it,
Yeah,
to make other people aware,
yeah,
because mental health is very important in not just in my family, but in the community as well. And it's something
yeah.
that we don't really talk about. And then once you kind of start to deal with it, you understand that it's not a lot of resources for help.
Girl, you
Um,
better say it. You could say
yeah.
that once, twice, and three times. As they used to say back in the living in color back in the day, two snaps around the world and a twist, baby. Because when I tell you the resources,
Yes.
they say our state is like 48th or 49th
Hmm.
in mental health resources. So I truly understand when it comes to trying to get resources. How did you become the caretaker for your brother? Because typically, we don't see a whole lot of that. It does exist, but we don't
Yes.
see a whole lot of that. So how did you end up becoming his caretaker?
Um, well, around the age of 18 for him, we are 6 years apart,
Mhm.
was the first time he had his first episode. He was 18. And at the time, it was new to me and my mother, my family. He did go and live with her for a short period of time. But I
Mhm.
kind of always say if you don't really research, what you're dealing with, it's hard to learn how to deal with the individual.
Absolutely.
And me, I had kind of had a little bit of background because, I coming out of school,
Mhm.
then I started to research on, his health condition because he was diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Right.
So I started to research kind of how to assist because at the time when he was living with my mother, it was just a toxic environment. She didn't understand how to care for him, and it became to the point where she just wanted to let him go. And I've always been with all of my siblings. I have you know other siblings as well, kind of that anchor for them outside of my mother.
Mhm.
So at the time I was living in Atlanta, he was in Nashville. I literally kind of dropped everything, moved to Nashville to care for him. And I can remember not really having anything, and we even lived with a good friend of mine. It's like he was sleeping
Mhm.
on like we were sleeping on the couch until I could find us a good, um, a place to stay.
Just to live. Mhm.
Yeah. So that's how I pretty much, I didn't. It was just like I didn't want my brother on the streets, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, well, what do I do? What can I do?
Right.
I sat there. We were living with someone for a while. I found us a place, and then from there, I was able to kind of stabilize him. He ended up finishing out getting his GED,
Mhm.
working for some time. You know, we had a good agreement. We've always had a good relationship. So when it came to listening to me, he's always respected me, and so it wasn't hard at first in terms of dealing with his diagnosis. It was just
Mhm.
new. And I mean, at the age of 24, um,
Right.
I just tried to find those footsteps. And I mean, eventually, and sometimes it was easy.
Right.
Um, so that yeah, but that was the beginning. That was over 13 years ago.
Right. What signs did you all see to make you notice that something was different? What were you all noticing in his behavior that stood out to make you say, okay, this ain't right. Something ain't right.
Yeah. Well, my brother was always, he kind of grew up in that generation where that kind of emo kid was introduced, where they were kind of very dark. They kind of wore all black. They liked the depressing kind of energy.
Right.
So he was always kind of into that. And I mean, I was helping him even throughout high school. So it was just literally one day he was hanging out with some friends and I get a call and I can just hear my brother chanting in the background. And his friends are saying, I don't know what happened, what's going on. And yeah, they ended up admitting him to an institution, and that's
Mm-hmm.
when he was diagnosed.
Mm. So the very first time you noticed something was when the friends called because you didn't think anything was odd because he always was wearing like when I was growing up we called it goth. So
Yes.
we called it goth. I'm from Cali, so they you know. So it was kind of a goth style. It was a dark style. So, but you
Yes.
didn't think anything was strange about it. But
Mhm.
when he started, I'm curious to know if his friends started noticing things prior to them even calling you to let you know, hey, he's doing
Well,
something, some chatting in the background, and this ain't right.
I think there were when they were together at that time, it was kind of some things that he was doing, but they didn't communicate with us
Mhm.
until it became to the point where it was like, oh my God, we don't know what's going
Right.
on. And we need to get him help as soon as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always try to do like a tad bit, a little research about stuff when we start the show. So I looked on it. I had to find something from Canada. So the Canadian Journal of Community Health to get a couple facts to see what they say about siblings becoming guardians of um, their siblings when they're dealing with schizophrenia. And some of the siblings were talking about how they reminisced about the fun times they had with their brother or sister prior to the onset of schizophrenia. They also felt keeping these memories alive helped them maintain a caring relationship. Can you remember times with you and your brother before the diagnosis and how things were?
Yes. I mean, throughout my childhood, we would fly out to Dallas during the summers and spend time with his dad. Um, and then at one point, he went to live with his dad. I think he was
Mm-hmm.
about 13 years old at the time. And he was in Texas. But once he moved back to Georgia, he was in he was at that time in high school. So
Mm-hmm.
I can remember, when the school was starting, taking him shopping, for clothes, just always keeping in contact, making sure he's okay. If anything,
Mm-hmm.
he always called and asked
Mm-hmm.
me for this or that. We always had a good relationship.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, like I said, that's always been my personality. I've always been just the kind of the caretaker for um, most of the people around me. And so
Mm-hmm.
with my siblings, I mean, I just made sure that whatever it was they needed, or whatever advice or anything, that I was always there for
Yeah. That's a lot to take on at 24 years old.
them.
Um, the siblings from this study also said they characterized the disclosure of the diagnosis of schizophrenia as a traumatic event marked by the realization that the relationship with the diagnosed sibling will never be the same. So they're saying that after the diagnosis, that the relationship between the brother and sister was never the same. Was that something that you all dealt with as well? Because now it's like kind of like you've turned into mom, but you're not mom, you're sibling.
Yeah. At first, our relationship was stronger, and it still is, even now. Um, like he lived with me. I took him to every doctor's appointment. I made sure he took his medication. I mean, because like for some time he was stable. He even worked. He helped. I have a son. He helped me out with my son. So, we really did have a good living dynamic for quite some time. And I made sure I kept, a close eye on him, and I made sure I gave him rules like, hey, we both know that this is what you're dealing with, and this is what you need to do to stay stable. And as long as you're stable, you are welcome to, be with me.
Right.
So for the better half of maybe, I would say about 9 years, we were in a good place. I mean, we moved from Nashville back to Atlanta. Um, we were here for some time, and then I would say about the end of, or during, I guess 2017 is when I started to notice, and I call it, where his body is changing because he's becoming an adult, and his diagnosis and the medication isn't helping anymore. It's not strong enough. His body, he's developing. So now it's harder for him. And even with the doctors, it was like they did with the medication, they'll just give him something. They're not blood testing to see, okay, does he need to be on this or does he need this? They're not doing any of that. They're just giving him what they deem is the right amount.
Right.
So about 2017 is when I started to notice kind of a decline, but I still, fought for him.
Right.
And then going into 2018, 19, it kind of was a little wavery then. And I think about 2020, 2019, he became stable again. Everything was fine. And I guess about the end of 2019 is when it became to the point where I knew, okay, something is changing. This is something beyond my control.
Right.
And I don't know what to do.
Right. And that's also the start of the pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah, it's also the start of the pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at that time, he wanted to move out on his own. And even though I was against it, he was grown. I couldn't say no.
Right.
And that's what ended up happening.
Did you ever feel angry, or so the siblings talked about feeling angry at the illness that it attacked and overtook and consumed their sibling. Did you ever feel angry about what has happened to him?
Yes, because I felt like when you think about your brother, it's like the man of the family because he's the only boy. And it's like, I can't call and say, hey, bro, can you do this? Or, hey, I can. It's not that type of relationship. It's a codependent relationship. And so some days, yes, I will be angry because not only is he dealing with the diagnosis, his personality is very impatient. I mean, if he wants something right now, it has to happen right now. And I don't care what I got going on in life, he doesn't care. And that frustrated me multiple times because I would have to sacrifice a lot of my life to help him.
Yeah. That's what the siblings were saying. They said many struggle with balancing the competing obligations of caring for their sibling and their own family needs. Like it has to be really challenging even as a parent. So when you're a parent and you have an adult child who has mental illness, it's hard to deal with them but you are the parent. Like you raise them as your child. They are your kid. You're expecting a certain amount of respect because you are the parent. I mean, it is what it is. But when you have a sibling who it was your equal,
Yeah.
like you guys are supposed to be equals, like your peer. Like, they also mentioned that too. They said the role has become more of a provider than a peer. Siblings mentioned doing tasks such as preparing meals, overseeing payment of their rent, buying clothes, monitoring their medication, scheduling their doctor visits. When it's your sibling and your sibling is like your peer, it's hard to control that. Like, yo, sis, I'm out. Like, you don't. I'm grown. You know what I'm saying? I'm grown. But if you just give up and let him go out there, that any and everything can happen to him. And in his mind, is he a person who accepts his diagnosis, or is he a person who feels all y'all are crazy, not me?
He was always the type to accept his diagnosis.
That's a
Um,
that's a blessing.
yeah, he was, but I think he still needed that supervision of, hey, you need your medication. Hey, you need to do this. But yeah, so that's the only issue with him. But he does accept it.
That's good. That's a blessing. When I was dealing with my daughter, she does not accept her diagnosis, and so that we were competing with. She still wants to be a young college student. She still wants to act like she's great, like she's Gucci,
Mhm.
like her
Yeah,
peers.
yeah,
But you can't drink and smoke like your peers can, because you have a mental illness that requires medication so you can function day to day.
yeah.
So she never accepted her diagnosis.
Mm.
Everybody's crazy but her. You know, I hate to call people with mental illness crazy, but she's mad, so I can, toss that every now and then. I'm not saying that she's crazy. She has mental illness, and so, you know, um, she doesn't believe it. So it is a blessing when you do have someone who's willing to, accept that. Hey, the chemicals in my brain are off, and I need a little medication. The problem with that also is, as they grow and the medications need adjusting, like you mentioned, it's trial and error.
Mhm.
But it's trial and error with any medication that you take.
Mhm.
I mean, I've,
Yeah.
I've got high blood pressure, and I've been through three different medications before I found one where I was like, okay, I think I'm good on this one right here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can imagine someone with mental illness having to, like, in how long do you let them play with this medication? Like, if you don't see a change, like I know with the blood pressure medicine, they were like, give it like 3 months. Well, 3 months with a person with mental illness,
Mental illness is, yeah, that's a totally different ball game. Yep.
like,
Yes.
what are we supposed to do in
Yes.
the meantime while they over here tearing up my shit? What am I
Mhm.
supposed to do?
Mhm.
We in here arguing, fussing, and fighting. What am I supposed to do for
Yep.
3 months while you
Mhm.
figure it out?
Yeah.
Did
The
you ever try to find like any type of long-term or inpatient care or anything like that for him? Or was he the kind who was willing to do outpatient treatment?
So there were times when he would have a relapse, and he would have to go into the facility. They only keep them 2 to 3 weeks.
I call it the 72-hour hold. That's
Yeah,
some bullshit.
they don't keep him long at all. So he would go. He would stay there. It was one time I found a group home where this home was supposed to make sure he took his medication, get him to his doctor visits, do this X, Y, and Z, and I'm paying them the money every month, but they were, in that environment, it's you kind of got all different types of people with all different types of mental health issues. So now they're stealing his items. He's having issues with some of the other housemates. And then they're calling me like, oh, well, we can't control your brother because he wants to, because he loved to walk. He walked all day, all night. I mean, he would walk for miles.
Right.
And he didn't like the restrictions of living in the group home, to the point where he would say, well, no, instead of living here, I'd just rather go be homeless. And of course, I didn't want him to do that. So I would take him, back in.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really because even trying to get a social worker, they don't help.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you say, okay, well, we're trying to just get him housing for himself, because he was fully functional. He could cook for himself. As long as he stayed on his medication, he was perfectly fine being functional. But of course, it's no housing available, and if it is, they want you to pay, X number of dollars each month that you can't afford.
Can't afford.
So the group homes they were never a stable environment for him.
And so he always ended up either homeless or back with you.
Yep.
Yeah. So you mentioned at the beginning that you were feeling some guilt.
Yes.
What's the guilt for? I mean, you are a great sister. There's a lot of siblings. First off, there's a lot of parents who don't want to deal with a person with schizophrenia. Right. Let's just start there. Right. I mean, it's the hardest thing I've ever experienced in my life. Trying to help someone that doesn't want the help from you. You know what I mean? They want to be independent, but their mind, it's like, dude, come on now. This can't look normal to you. You know, it can't look normal to you. Yeah. So even as the parent, it is hard to deal with a kid with schizophrenia. You're a great sister. There's not many siblings that want to take in their adult parents, let alone a sibling who you can't control, who you can't. Yes, he respects you, but at the end of the day, he's a grown man now. Mm-hmm. So what's the guilt about? Why do you feel guilty?
Because it came to a point in my life where I had to let him go. Because I knew that I couldn't control his the elevation of his illness. I couldn't control it anymore. Mm-hmm. No matter, what I said or what I did, it became to where he wanted just to kind of do his own thing. But not only that, it came to a point in my life where I had to start thinking about myself and my child. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I had no more energy to give. I had no more. I had nothing else to give him. And I had to let him go. And I kind of really had to fight with his family for someone to take him in. Because at first, when I knew I had to let him go, I tried to put him in, I put him in another group home. Of course, he didn't like that. And one day he just called himself, he was walking to Alabama because he didn't want to live in a group home anymore. Mm-hmm. So he moves to Alabama with his grandmother. Of course, people just don't understand it. They're going to try to tell him what to do. They're going to try to control him. And at the end of the day, you can't. It's nothing that you can do for them.
Right.
And if a person that takes him in does not understand that, then it becomes this, well, you got to go. You have to leave. So,
yeah,
for the better half of maybe about a year, if not a little longer, my brother pretty much has been homeless.
for about a year.
Yeah, if not a little bit longer. Well, he moved out of his grandmother's house, and I guess, I don't know, moved in with a neighbor. I don't know. It was, yeah, just kind of moved in with a neighbor where he could be free and kind of do his own thing and didn't have anybody trying to tell him what to do.
Right.
And during this time, you know, of course I didn't want that for him, but I knew if I couldn't even save, I had to save myself first. And I couldn't save him and bring him along with me this time because I was going through my own uh, issues or whatnot.
Right.
And um, so recently, like I said, you know, he loved to walk.
Issues or
He,
what?
um, he loves to walk, and he was walking late one night, and he was shot. So, you know, currently my brother is in the ICU. So when I heard that, it made me feel guilty because I felt as though it's my fault. If he would have been with me, if I could still take care of him, if I could still do
Mm-hmm.
what I had done before, that wouldn't have happened. So, you know, that's where the guilt comes from.
Um, I would hand you one through the screen. um, that's heavy. That's heavy. Let's see.
And for, you know, and for some time, you know, he when he went to the ICU, he was sedated. You know, as soon as I got the call, I went to Alabama. Of course, he didn't know I was there because he was sedated. But at the minute of the day he woke up, I went back. You know, because I wanted him to know that, hey, I'm still here. I'm still, you know, big sis. You know, I can't really do anything to help you like I've done in the past, but I'm still here to assist in, you know, whatever capacity that I can.
Right. So I understand the guilt. Um, I have a similar situation. My daughter wasn't shot, but I felt that, I couldn't protect her. I was actually feeling like you. I was tired. And I used to tell her dad, I'm just tired. I just can't do this anymore. I can't help her. I can't help someone that doesn't want to help themselves. I'm tired.
Yeah.
And so I understand the guilt because, you know, she's in a bad situation right now. And I feel like if I wasn't tired and I still would have kept her here or did, I actually did all I can do. I think, I think about, well, maybe I could have did this. I could have, I don't know, but I understand the guilt. But I also understand that God be acting funny sometimes, you know, and he puts us in situations that we don't want to be in. They're very uncomfortable
Yeah.
to help us grow and to help us be a testimony to other people. When you have given all you can to somebody, and that somebody is like, I'm not going to say he's not appreciative because I'm sure he's extremely appreciative. His mind may not allow him to acknowledge that, but when you know you have done all you can do,
Yeah.
you can't stop the inevitable. God is funny because he could have been wherever you live, walking down the street of where you live and get shot.
Yeah.
You can't predict. You know what I'm saying? You can't hold somebody. He's like your child, right? So when your child becomes an adult and you have a son, and so
Mhm.
when your son becomes an adult, if he isn't already, and he's out in this world, you can't predict what's going to happen to him. You don't know, because
Yeah.
God is funny.
Yeah.
He do so he tripping sometimes. Like he don't give us the whole memo.
You don't.
You know what I'm saying? He don't give us the memo.
No, he does not.
He just throws us in the situation, right?
Yep.
So you can't allow situations that our loved ones get themselves into make them be your fault. It's
Mm.
not your fault.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
Yeah.
You can't stop what's going to happen. We can't control it. I wish I can control it. I wish I could just take all my kids, bring them in this house with me in my little cocoon, and just keep them here every day until I'm tired of looking at them, but just
Mhm.
keep them here because I feel you're safe in my house. But guess what? I just saw a news story today where a husband, a preacher, and his wife were in the bed sleep in their own home. Somebody in the area was shooting. Bullet comes through the wall, the headboard, hits her, and she dies.
Mm.
So you can't
Yeah.
predict it.
Yeah.
So you can't feel guilty because he chose to walk down 20 or 85 to get to Bama. You feel what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you can't feel bad about that. I mean, you can't let that situation consume you
Yeah.
and bring you down. The only thing you can do now is figure out, where do we go from here?
Hmm.
You know this young lady right here who put this little meme up here. Do you know that one? Can you see it?
Yes.
Hey,
I'm Malika.
Malika. So, the guilt, I understand it because I've lived with it too. I battle with it. Only thing you can do is move from here. So what do you do? What does Domonick do to make sure her mental health stays in check? Make sure she don't turn schizophrenic, like like it's a cold. You don't catch the you don't make sure you don't catch the schizophrenia, girl. What do you do to keep from catching the schizophrenia?
To be honest with you, I have struggled with anxiety for years. So, I have a form of mental illness myself. Like I've been hospitalized from panic attacks
Mm-hmm.
maybe about 3 to 4 times.
Yeah.
So I am no stranger to mental illness as well.
Right.
Um, what I've learned recently, um, do a lot of meditation. Definitely before I even start my day, it's helped me kind of learn how to control my breathing, not to get too overwhelmed when I'm put in situations. And also, I've learned because I'm always the person. Anything that happens in my family, I'm always the person to get the call. Anything traumatic, I'm the first to get the call, and then I have to be the one to deliver the news.
Mm.
So I find myself now, if I get a call, I just take a step back. I'm not trying to call everybody to tell them what's going on at that time.
Right.
I'm figuring out what can we do in the present? What can I do in the present moment? Um, and I have started to read books to kind of help
Right.
develop the way I think prior to, like I said, when I knew I had got to that end, to that point of, I can't do this no more. I'm tired. So what can I do? So, I incorporated a routine where I get up, I pray, I meditate, I go to the gym, I spend at least an hour of self care in a day.
Yeah.
And then even like my gifts are I'm a adamant reader and writer. So I started reading. You can see back here I got some of my books, but like
Mm-hmm.
I started back reading, but I started reading books that were development books,
Right.
and it helped me change the way I thought, and then changing the way I think. I started to see my life change, the
Yeah.
way I respond to people. change. The way I respond to situations has changed because now it's like, okay, I don't go into overdrive because that's an anxiety, you know. And then not only that, I went to therapy. I've been in therapy. Uh, I've I've been in therapy 2 times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am a firm believer in picking up the phone and finding a therapist.
Right.
So that definitely helped. But like even my last therapist, I mean, not only was I, seeing my therapist, like I said, I was doing the work on the outside. On outside of our sessions.
Projects.
She was
I
like,
know
"You about
about
to
them
put me out of business," because I'm telling her before she would tell me what to do.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I learned that self-care is the best care, and once I learned that, it helped me, whew, with my anxiety, that helped
Absolutely.
calm down, and so
It sounds like what you've done is set boundaries.
yes,
That's what it
that,
sounds like to me. It sounds like
yeah,
you have set
yes,
boundaries on the family because if
yes,
and I don't come from a big family. I come from a small family, so I don't know if you have a it sounds like you have a larger family. So if everyone is calling you with the bad news to distribute, you know, like, how did I get that job? I didn't ask for that job. Why y'all just couldn't text it to everybody? Why y'all just didn't do a Facebook Live? When you was doing your Instagram Live, why you just didn't go live and say what happened to Keisha and them? Why you just didn't say it then? We all would have heard it. You know what I'm saying? So, so it sounds like you decided to set up some boundaries for yourself so you don't have to take on everyone's burden.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
That was the key thing because I just stopped therapy maybe about 6 months ago, and that was the key thing that I focused on this time was setting boundaries because I didn't even realize I didn't have any, and that caused a lot of my anxiety issues and
Mm-hmm.
me struggling with my mental health. And then once
Yeah.
I started to set those, I was like, okay, this is nice.
Yeah, and it's
I want
okay for everyone in the family to like to say, Dominic over there tripping. She act like she can't answer the phone. She over there tripping, and guess what? They gonna be all right. They
yeah,
they
yeah,
gonna be all right. That message that you needed to get out, trust and believe,
yes.
they gonna be all right. You got to take care of yourself because not just for that, not just for your mental health. You're raising somebody, and
Mm-hmm.
that somebody's watching you.
Yes.
So you
And-
got to make sure that they good too, right?
yes. And
And
actually, that was the biggest kind of turning point with my brother because when it started to affect my son, I remember right at the cusp of me saying, okay, this is it. My son started hiding the knives in the house and sleeping in my room, locking the door. And when I knew, like, yeah, this is something I can't control
so he was
anymore.
getting scared of his uncle.
He was getting scared of his uncle, and they had a great relationship. Like I said, he would help me with my son all the time. But when it started to decline, my son started to be affected and scared, and that's when I said, I have him to think about
What made him
first.
hide the knives?
My son he's always been a very smart one. I mean,
He started thinking,
he
this
just
ain't about to kill me up in here.
yeah. So yeah, that was his first thing. He started hiding the knives, and he'll sleep. He started to ask to sleep with me because he's always been a person to sleep in his own room. He started, oh, can I sleep with you? And he'll come in there and he'll lock the door. Yeah.
So he was getting scared. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we weren't scared of my daughter, but being that I'm in law enforcement, I wasn't trying to lose my job behind my daughter. You feel me?
Yes.
Like, you
Yes.
know, yeah, I didn't want to I didn't want to go to jail, y'all. I didn't want to get locked up. I need my job. I'm almost done with it too. Like I
Right.
was close to the little retirement side. I'm like, I ain't about to lose
Right.
my pension behind you, girl. I ain't
Mm-hmm.
about to lose my pension behind you. But so I get that, like that mood swing, that's it is like I said, I wasn't scared of her, but it is scary.
Mm-hmm.
It is a scary thing. So I can imagine being a child having to, live through that. So yeah, you definitely had to, start setting some boundaries for him as well. How is he? Do you have him seeing a therapist as well?
Currently not at the moment. He was seeing one prior to us moving back to um, Atlanta. So he did struggle with some anger issues.
Hmm.
So they had him with the therapist in the school where they would spend, I think about, it was about 3 hours a week. Um, so even now, when we, once it's just kind of like, since it's kind of just been me and him, our
Hmm.
relationship is better.
Yeah.
I can tell his, he's not angry anymore, or even with the behavior issues that we had in school. Of course, I
Hmm.
mean, he's 13, so we have some that,
Absolutely smelling his little self. Hmm.
that's just it's normal.
Right.
But it's not the, I mean, because it was at one point I was getting calls every day
Hmm.
from the school,
Yeah.
because, and then I realized that a lot of his behavior, he was just acting out what he was feeling, on the
He's
inside.
probably feeling stress.
Yes,
You run
yes,
around hiding
yes,
knives. Yeah, you feeling some
yes,
stress. Who
yes,
wants to, your home is your safe haven. And I'm a
yes.
kid and I can't just go anywhere.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
if I don't feel safe at home, what am I supposed to do?
Yep. And then for him, I think he was concerned about me, because he sees me do so much for everyone. And I think his biggest concern is, Mommy, are you okay? That's what he's
Mm,
stressed about, because he can see me and I'm running rampant for
mhm.
50 other people. And it's like, well, Mommy, are you okay?
Yeah.
So once I started to set those boundaries, once I started to really focus in on him, our
Hmm.
relationship developed.
Yeah.
He developed,
Yeah.
um, and he's been doing amazing.
Good.
So
Good.
yeah.
So I know that you said that your brother was still in ICU. How is he coming along? How's he
So
coming?
he's up now.
Good.
He's able to talk.
Good.
Currently, he cannot walk. We are hoping and praying that eventually he will be able to do that. But of course, it's going to be a long road to recovery.
Right.
And I think the only concern now is, where do where do you go from here?
Where do you go?
What's next? Because in my mind now, I can't. Now it's like, I can't take care of someone who's mentally and physically. I can't.
Mm,
I don't have that capacity. So yeah, that is the biggest thing. What's going to
yeah.
happen once he comes home? Has to come out of the hospital.
How are the services for mental health in Alabama? Are they different from Georgia?
Um, I think they're about the same, because even when he got to Alabama, you it was like, oh, we have no housing. We don't have this. We don't have that. They have reached out to me with the new social worker. I'm assuming because now he's physically disabled. So we'll see kind of if there will be a difference. But really, it wasn't. I mean, the only thing they're going to do is just give you the insurance and the little bit amount of money that they do every month. And it's
Mhm.
like, you're on your own.
On your own. So you will have to figure out where he will go after he's released from the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot. Mental health sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least people are starting to talk about it a little bit more. That's why I started the podcast, because I bring people on who have different stories to share, because I'm hoping that someone receives some sort of healing, some sort of, wow, okay, I'm going through what she's going through. I get it. She looked good. Let me go on and put my little makeup on and get right to, like that there's still light at the end of the tunnel for us. Like there's still life to live. We can make it. We can make it. It feels like you can't when you're going through it. It feels like that you're not going to make it to the other side. But I bring people on to share their stories because I want people to see you can make it to the other side. And it sounds as if you are making it over to the other side. You know what I'm saying? It's still a challenge. It's
Oh
still
yeah.
a journey for you,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But you're writing books, reading books, writing
Oh,
books.
look, I'm working on that too. Writing.
Okay. You see, I threw that out there. I know you're reading books, you're writing books, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm hoping, you know, I always say, like I say all the time, healing is in the conversation. So I'm hoping people will receive healing from your story, and what it's like being the sister that has to take care of the brother with schizophrenia. What we have about, let me look. Y'all know I'm blind as a bitch, but hold on, 10 minutes. What advice could you share with people that are the sibling? What advice would you share when they're taking care, if they ever have to receive that responsibility of taking care of their sibling who has schizophrenia, and coping with the situation of that's a lot. Your brother could have been killed, but God saved his life.
Mm-hmm.
So, what advice would you give people that are watching and listening on YouTube and Facebook? What advice can you give when you're dealing with that situation?
Ooh, patience is a perfect virtue. I mean, that is the biggest key to it all. Patience, and then not only that, you know, knowledge. You have to educate yourself,
Yeah.
because if you're not educated in a topic or in, you know, a subject, then you're going to be oblivious to how to handle it. And I had to come to the realization that my brother doesn't think normal. I mean, yes, he functions normal like you and I, but his way of thinking is not normal. And once I accepted that, then I was kind of able to ex- to say, okay, so what what needs to be done, or what should I do, or how should this be done, versus always kind of talking at him like, you need to stop this, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. That right there is going to frustrate the individual
Yeah.
when you're constantly picking at them, because like you said, they feel like they're normal.
Right.
So,
There's something wrong with all y'all. I don't know what y'all talking about.
so they feel like they're normal, and it's like, oh, on our end, it's like, no, the thing is, you do, it isn't normal. So if you are educated in the subject or the topic or whatnot, then you can better help them to, you know, live with their condition, and hopefully they are someone that is willing to help themselves,
Yeah.
because that does, um,
Help.
that that's the biggest piece too, because
Yeah.
for a while my brother was willing to help himself, like he was willing to do this a x y and z to make sure he stayed stable, until it was just like, I knew, like, yeah, I think he gave up the
He
fight.
gave up.
Yeah, he gave up.
He gave up.
So patience, you know, educating yourself. And man, if I would have known that self-care piece then, it probably would have helped me
At
a lot.
24 years old.
Yeah, but I
Mhm.
didn't know that. I was, you know, running a mile a minute, you know, and I couldn't sit down. So I think if I would have given myself more to me, I wouldn't have gotten to the point where I was just tired and just done, you know, done pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. That was great. So, you know, I know this topic is always so heavy. And so I always try to bring the mood up
Yeah.
just a little bit. I hope you didn't cry all your makeup off. Still look good.
I know. I could probably still go hit somebody happy hour.
Probably can. You probably can. Yeah, ain't no problem. You can. You can. So I always try to bring the mood up just a tad bit before we go. And
Okay.
so I'm gonna do a couple little rapid fire questions. We'll just play a little game. See how
Okay.
that goes. Okay, so let me start with this. Rap or R&B?
R&B.
All right. Usher or Chris Brown?
Whew. It
Oh,
depends how you ask it. Well, Chris Brown. Yeah, yeah, Chris Brown.
Chris Brown. All right. Brian McKnight or Joe? That's some old school on you.
I mean, wait a minute. I got to think about that one for
Okay.
Brian McKnight or Joe.
Brian McKnight or Joe?
Joe.
Joe. Okay. Beyonce or Rihanna?
Rihanna.
Yeah. Well, I like them both.
Yeah, I'm waiting on Rihanna for that new album.
I like both of them. I like both of them. I like them both. All right. Earth, Wind, and Fire or the Commodores?
Oh, you put a throwback on me. Now
I
you got
did.
to name. You got to name their songs for me to know that.
That's too old for you. Okay. Well, let me move it down to your little generation. Let me move it on down. Let me move it on down.
If you name their song, then I can say which one I like.
Neo or Raheem Devon?
Raheem Devon.
I know, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Ooh, let me bring it back. Let me bring it back. Let me bring it back. One more. This is gonna be a rap one. This is youngsters.
Okay.
Lil Baby or
Lil Baby.
Da Baby?
Lil Baby. You
Lil
didn't
Baby.
have to finish that one. Yeah.
Lil Baby or Da Baby? Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Little Baby. All day long. His name is Domonick. So I just,
it is, right?
yeah. So hands down, he got that
Yeah.
just because of his name.
He got a little documentary out right now. I
Yes,
just
it's
watched
awesome.
it the other day and I was like,
Mhm.
now I don't know what he said the entire time he was talking. He just needed like the words with a little bubble on it so I could keep up with him because I really don't know. Because I
Yeah.
picked Da Baby over Lil Baby.
Oh no.
Yeah, I just like a little more gangster with it, a little roughness, like a little more hood to it. You know what I'm saying?
I used to like the baby until he just started talking too much, and then it's just like, oh, that's a
Yeah.
whew, I mean, golly, he
Megan Thee
just talked too
Stallion,
much.
Cardi B.
Malika probably gonna put a
Oh wait,
emoji
no,
up.
no, no. Let's change it. Cardi B, and our pink Barbie,
Nikki, all the way.
Nikki.
Yeah, yeah.
Nicki Minaj.
I'm a Nikki fan.
Girl, I appreciate you for spending your hour with me. I really do appreciate it. I hope that our listeners were able to, gather some nuggets from you, relate to you. I'm sure they were able to relate and keep you and your brother in their prayers. And I will do the same, keep you all in my prayers.
Thank you.
I know sometimes it's hard to come on here. I've even told my own story. It's hard to come on here and share personal information with people that you don't know. You have no clue who's looking at this right now.
Right,
I don't know who's looking at this right now.
right.
And so you don't know. So I know it's hard to share. So I appreciate anyone who comes on and tries to help people heal. I hope that you receive a little bit of healing and you feel a little bit better, because healing is in the conversation. And the more you share your story with people, you'll find that there are a lot of people just like you. You'll
Yes,
be surprised. You will
yes.
be surprised. It's a lot of yous running around here.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
appreciate you. Let me pull this coming up. Great episode. Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Thank you so much, LaDacia. Um,
And I thank you for having me. Thank you.
absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
I've been using that phrase ever since you told me. Healing is in the conversation.
It is.
So that I've definitely been. I kept that in the forefront of my mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And don't be ashamed of it. Our community is still has a stigma, and we're still ashamed to talk about mental health and mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need to be.
Yeah.
Talk about it more, share your story more. That's the only way people are going to realize that this thing is real. This mental health thing that we used to say back in the day where folks was just crazy, we say folks was just crazy. This mental health thing is real, and the more we talk about it, and the more people see that there's no prototype for it. Well, there's no billboard to show. Oh,
Mm.
that's what mental health looks like.
Nope.
There's no way. You would never know. You wouldn't look at me and say, "Oh my God, that girl with the red hair. You mean to tell me she has anxiety and depression? Her?" You would
Mm-hmm.
never, you would never know unless I told you. So
Yeah.
I don't mind telling my story and sharing my story, because I want people to see that mental illness and mental health and mental illness comes in so many ways. It comes in so many forms, and we have to support our people. That's the only way the stigma is going to come down, and our people are going to accept treatment.
Yes.
Treatment does work when you're willing to take it.
It
You
does.
you you testify to that. As long as your brother was willing to receive the services, he was functioning just fine.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Yeah.
don't know what happened to make him come off track and get in a space where he was giving up. We don't know what happened,
Mm-hmm.
but we do know that treatment works.
Yeah. It
It
does.
works. It does.
It
So
does.
so I appreciate it. So keep sharing your story. Keep
All right.
the longer you hold. This is what someone told me when I first started my podcast. The person, her name is Ursula. Her podcast is called Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. And she helped me. Girl, her show's bomb. The thing is that we come on at the same time, so I have to rewatch hers. But she helped me set up my podcast. And she was telling me, as long as I am holding on to my story, I'm robbing people of their healing,
Mm.
because healing is in the conversation.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, drop the microphone, boo. Drop the microphone, boo. Drop the microphone. So, but yeah, so I try not to hold people, long. I try to do this for 1 hour. So let me put up my all my little disclaimers and all that good stuff. So you can try to, I can't see. Oh, hold on, let me find them. Tara and Leilani, thank you for your comments. I see you guys on here. I appreciate you. I threw you guys up there, gave y'all a little shine. Give y'all a little shine. Hey Tara. Hey Tara T. And Leilani, thank you, thank you, thank you. And here we go. So if you would like to be a guest on the show, oops, hold on 1 second. Let me come back out of these comments. There we go. I love when the comments start popping up.
Mm-hmm.
I feel good when the comments start popping up. Hold on. We're going to drag this out just a little bit, because we're going to show these
Oh,
comments. I love when
my aunt was on.
that's your aunt right here.
Uh, my Dora Harper.
Here you go.
Yep.
Thank you, Miss Harper. Thank you, Auntie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I love when people pop on here, give you your shine. Yes, yes. So as they pop up, you definitely gonna see these. Oh, here we go, Auntie again. That's Auntie. Yes, yeah, and yeah. Y'all let her know she did a good job. That was hard for her to share this story. Y'all let her know. Let her know. I'm gonna give her this time. Let her know she did a great job.
Thank you,
All right.
guys.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank
Yes. And then even like as you watch it again, you'll go back, because people sometimes, are doing other things at this time of night. You come back and you'll see more comments on there and all kind of stuff. So you definitely can share it. All right. So if you want to be a guest on the show, or if you know anyone who would want to be a guest on the show, please email me at missionformentalhealth@gmail.com. You can call me. You can follow me on all my social media platforms. I'm on Instagram at Mission for Mental Health. I'm also JR Mission for Mental Health. Jackie Robinson, that's what it stands for. JR Mission for Mental Health. You can follow me on all my social media platforms. Let me know if you would like to be a guest on the show, or if you know anyone who would like to be a guest on the show. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my podcast so we can build our viewers up. Because I'm telling y'all, one day you guys are gonna be like, "Oh, I need to get her autograph," because I'm gonna be at the White House, y'all, talking about mental health. Y'all know that, right? I'm gonna be
Come
sitting right
on,
next to Katanji talking about, hey girl, we got this mental health thing I need you to pass.
speak it into existence.
I'm
Yes.
telling you, you know what I'm saying? I'm speaking that thing to an into existence. We are going to keep this mission going for mental health. So please, you guys, subscribe, like, and share. And as always, we do have India's Law petition still going. If you click on the link and look in the bio, there is a link that you can click on there for India's Law. And India's Law pertains to changing laws in Georgia as it pertains to mental health. We know our people need long-term care and they're not able to receive it because the facilities just don't exist here in Georgia. So we are working to change these laws. So as always, you guys enjoy your week. Um, hold on, we got one more.
Oh, hi, Miss P. Thank you.
Gotta throw them comments up there. Hold on. Let me take these banners down because I want to make sure you get your love, girl. There we go.
Oh, thank
Oh, y'all got any barbecue sauce on that? Cause I'll rise out for some food. Yeah. Yeah. She's like, is that the girl from the show on our porch?
Definitely the best fish sandwich in Nashville. I can tell you
For
that.
real? Trying to get her a fish sandwich? She drove all the way here for some fish. She did. She did. So yeah. There we go. All right, girl. Well, I appreciate you. You enjoy your
Thank
night. Stay on the line for me. I'm gonna end the broadcast and stay on the line. I'm gonna chat with you right quick.
Okay. Thank
Bye,
you.
y'all. Look, I
Bye.
gotta learn how to work these cameras. Bye, y'all.